just look at two verses there. Let's start from verse 28. It says, but you, this is Jesus now speaking, says, but you are those who have continued with me in my trials. This is Jesus talking to his disciples. The disciples, John, James, Matthew, Peter, all of you, you are the ones that have continued with me in my own trials. Not your trials, my trials. Verse 29. And I bestow upon you a kingdom just as my Father bestowed one upon me, that you may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom, and sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. So here, he was rewarding them for being faithful to him, for being steadfast, working with him during his times of trials. Verse 31 now. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, indeed, Satan has asked for you that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for you that your faith should not fail. And when you have returned to me, strengthen your brethren. Verse 33 says, but he said to him, Lord, I am ready to go with you both to prison and to death. Then he said, I tell you, Peter, the rooster shall not crow this day before you deny 3 times that you know me not. Here, there's 2 verses I want us to look at. In verse 30, 31, and 32, when the Lord was speaking. Please, let somebody time me. When the Lord was speaking, in verse 31, it says, and the Lord said, Simon, Simon, indeed Satan has asked for you that he may sift you as wheat. But, verse 32, but I have prayed for you that your faith should not fail. And when you have returned to me, strengthen your brethren. It shows me 3 significant things there. And I've often said this, if you don't know your enemy, you should know yourself and know your God. Most of the time, we don't know ourselves enough. That's why, we can do like Peter that says, Lord, in verse 33, that no, in Luke 22:33, it says, no, I'm ready to go with you into prison. I'm even ready to die for you. He did not know himself. He did not know his frailty, how weak he is. Secondly, we need to know our enemy. He did not know the capacity of the enemy, of Satan. So he thought, he was taking Satan for granted. Bible says in Genesis chapter 3 from verse 1 that, and Satan was much more cunning than any other beast that God has created. And thirdly, we need to know our God. Daniel chapter 11 verse 32 says, those that know their God shall do exploits. If you know your God, it's much more easier for you to actually tackle the enemy. Here, in Luke 22, verse 31, and the Lord said, Simon, Simon, you can put your name there. Make the Bible relevant to you. The Bible was spoken by the Spirit of God for man to write it. It was written in that way. But it is now for us to read it and live it. So make it relevant. You can put your name there. Simon, Simon, indeed, Satan has asked for you that he may sift you as wheat. What I see in that verse 31 is very, very important. It tells us the plan of Satan for every one of us. Jesus was revealing the plan of the enemy to us. He says, this is the plan of Satan. He has asked for you, not for your money, not for your car, not for your, for your house, not for your position, not for anything, for you. And I've often said it, if you really understand it clearly, Genesis chapter 3, in there you find the first thing that the enemy wants to attack is your marriage, is your family, is your life. If he can take away the marriage or can destroy the marriage, if he can destroy the home, he can destroy the city. He can. Charity begins in the city. Where does it begin? At home. If you can destroy the home, you see, and it's true. A child that does not obey the parents, a house that does not have rules and regulations, such child, when he or she grows up, will not obey authority nor respect authority. And Satan does this. He goes to the core of the family and hit it hard. The first thing that he did in Genesis chapter 3, Garden of Eden, was to destroy the family. He brought disunity. And ever since then, sin came into the world. So here in Luke 22, verse 31, Jesus was saying, it says, Simon, Simon, Mary, Mary, Edmund, Edmund, whatever your name may be. He says, Satan has asked for you that he might sift you like wheat, to expose you, to destroy you, to discourage you, to dishearten you. He might sift you like wheat. That is the plan of the enemy. John chapter 10, verse 10. The thief comes only to steal, to kill, and to destroy. It says, but I have come for what? To give you life and life in abundance. The work of the enemy is to destroy, is to put people in bondage. Acts of the Apostle chapter 10, verse 38, Acts 10, 38, Bible tells me that, and how God anointed Jesus Christ of Nazareth with Holy Spirit and with power, going everywhere and doing good, releasing those people that have been oppressed by Satan. His work is to oppress. His work is to destroy. His work is to bring disunity. Luke 13, verse 16, the woman that has been bent over for 18 years, Bible says, won't this woman, the daughter of Abraham, that has been bent over in captivity, in pain, in shame, in sickness for 18 years, be straightened up? Satan's work is to destroy. You need to understand that. His work, his intention in marriages, in families, in lives, in career, in education, in ministry, is to destroy. That's his job. So Jesus said, Simon, you did not know this, but Satan came to me secretly to ask to destroy you. And you thought that you were okay. Job chapter 1, from verse 6 to verse 12. In there you find where Job had everything. He was happy at home with his family. But Satan went to God and said, God, I want to afflict him. Not to bless him, but to afflict him. And God says, you can touch him, but touch not his soul. And what did he do? He began to touch the things that actually means more to Job. The title, I've given it, you can find it in Luke 22, verse 32. It says, but I have prayed for you, that your faith should not fail. So the title is, your faith must not fail. Your faith in God, not in what you can do. Honestly, if I will ever preach any significant message, this is it. Your faith must not fail. Why did Jesus say that to us? So the first one, in verse 31, that Satan has asked to sift you like wheat, reveals to us the plan of the enemy. This one, verse 32, reveals the plan and purpose of God or of Jesus unto us. Jeremiah 29:11 says, and I know the thought that I have for you, towards you. It's not an evil thought. It's a thought of goodwill, of a prosperous future, of good living. the plan and the purpose of God for us is actually different to the plan and the purpose of Satan for us. Amen? So, he says, but although Satan has planned to destroy your marriage, Satan has planned to destroy your career, he has planned to destroy your finance and your business, he has planned to destroy your future and your health. He says, but. When you see but, B-U-T in the Bible, it means that forget what was spoken before. What his plans was, just forget it. Contrary to what he wants, I'm doing. Bring it to zero. Erase what was spoken before. He said he has asked for you that he might sift you like wheat to destroy you. He says, forget that. But my plan for you now is this. And he says, my plan for you is that I have prayed for you. What does it mean? That tells us that prayer works. He did not say, and I sang for you. He did not say, I sat with you and I wept with you. He did not say that when you had this issue, he did not say, well, it is impossible for it to happen. He did not tell you what is happening. He didn't say, I gave for you. He didn't say, I stand with you. No, he said, I prayed for you. Prayer works. That's what he's telling us. He's saying that the solution to the attack of the enemy, which will come, not it may. It may come, no, it will come. It can come through your health. It can come through your finance. It can come through your ministry. It can come through your marriage. The test will come. Difference. There's a test. There's test and there's temptation. Temptation comes from the enemy. James chapter 1, verse 13 says, if anyone is tempted, they should not say that God is tempting them, because why? God cannot be tempted. He doesn't tempt anyone. So he goes further down to verse 14 to verse 15. He says, you have been tempted by your desires. So temptation comes from the enemy. But test comes from God. Genesis 22 verse 1 says, and God tested Abraham. Test comes from God. Test is to propel us forward. Test is to enhance us, to build us up inside and outside. Test does that. Temptation brings us guilt. It brings us condemnation. It brings us shame. But test builds us up. It builds us up. So Jesus is saying that, hey, indeed, Satan has asked for you, that he can destroy you, but I have prayed for you. What is that? An assurance. John 17, 1 to the end, go and read it carefully. You will find the prayers of Jesus there over and over for the church and for the, for the disciples. He's prayed for us. So amazing was that Peter did not ask Jesus to pray for him. Why? Peter did not know that Satan is planning evil against him. But it means that even when he says that in verse 31 of Luke 22, that Satan have asked for you, it reveals to me and to yourself that Satan cannot afflict any believer unless he seeks permission from God. He can't. As he did for Job. Job chapter 1 verse 6 downwards. He says, and Satan went to God and said, Lord, let me afflict him. He can't just afflict you, because why? You are no longer under him nor under his covenant. You belong to God now. So he tells me that he can't afflict you. If he wills, he has to go to God for permission. Secondly, he tells me also in that verse 31 that Satan has asked for you to sift you like wheat. He tells me also that indeed, no matter what Satan wants to do, God knows about it. Thirdly, he tells me also, apart from God knowing about it, it shows me that Satan's power is limited to God's power. But in verse 32, it says, but I've prayed for you. It tells me that prayer can change things and turn things around. It says, I have prayed for you. I have prayed for you. Prayer works. There is no little prayer, there's no big prayer. Prayer is prayer, as long as it is directed to God. Prayer reveals to me and to you, it should, that we can't solve the problem. That's why we take it to God. It reveals our weaknesses. If you can solve it, you won't go to God. Do you understand? It says, I have prayed for you, that your faith will not fail. Look at the prayer points. It says, I have prayed for you, that your faith fails not. My faith should not fail. He did not say, my prayer for you when Satan asks for you to mess up your marriage, to mess up your job, to mess anything up. See, my prayer point that I'm expecting God or Jesus to pray for me is that Satan, stop it, don't touch him. No. No wonder it says in Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 19, Jeremiah 1:19, it says, they will fight against you. First of all, they will persecute you. Secondly, it says that they will not overcome you. Why? Protection. Thirdly, he says that if they fight against you, that they will not overcome you. He says why? Because I am with you. Presence. He won't stop them from fighting against you. He won't stop them, from saying evil about you. He won't stop you, from going through affliction, nor trials, nor tests. God will not stop you from that. They will fight against us. He says, but he will not overcome us. He will protect us. He says that because he's with us, his presence. He now says that, for I will give you victory. Promise. I just need to hold on to what God is saying. So he says, I have prayed for you that your faith fails not. Not that the enemy should not tempt you. Not that the enemy should not attack you. Not that your marriage should not be attacked. Not that your finance should not be attacked. He didn't say that. He says, no, he says that will happen. He says, but I have prayed for you that thing that the enemy is doing will not overcome you. That's the end result. But I will go through, but it will not overcome. I will go through, but guess what? What God says will come to pass. That's why the psalmist can say in Psalm 23 verse 4, Psalm 23 4, it says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, of divorce, of sickness, of joblessness, of fear. It says, even if you lose your job, even if you lose your home, even if you lose your car, even if you lose, your position, even if you lose anything, he says, make sure you don't lose your faith. Whatever you lose, don't lose your faith. Hold on to your faith. That's what he's saying. I have prayed for you that your faith fails not. Your job may fail, but your faith must not fail. Are you getting what I'm saying? Your health may fail, may be attacked by the enemy. He says, but no, your faith must hold on. You see, until you can see how God sees you, you will not be able to materialize what God has stored inside you. We're talking today, about being born again, the spirit of, our spirits being energized by the Spirit of God, our soul and our flesh. Most of the time, we are looking at ourselves and judging ourselves by our actions. We are looking into the physical, the flesh part, and judging ourselves on that flesh part. But God says, look into the spirits and judge yourself by the spirits. When he says that by his stripes you are healed, but I don't feel it. What am I saying is that if I say I'm not healed, it's because I am still feeling pain. That is what I am looking on the physical, on the body, on the flesh. But Jesus says, no. By my stripes you have been healed. That one is in the spirit. You have to go into the spirit, see how you are in the spirit, and begin to materialize and live it in the flesh. When he said that you are blessed, that you have all these things inside you, you don't look at how things are. You look at what he says it is inside your spirit. You know, when you want to see how your hair looks like or the makeup, what do? You check in the mirror, isn't it? You don't feel. Do you feel like, you know, that your hair is right? Just, well, I feel my hair is okay. Or I feel my mascara is okay. Or I feel my blusher, or what you call it, is okay. Lipstick is okay. Is that what you feel? I feel I'm rich. Do you feel it? No, what do you want to do? Check in the mirror and look. So, oh, yeah. And do that, isn't it? So what do? You look into the physical mirror for physical body, to see how your physical body is, isn't it? So if you want to look at how you are in the spirit, what do? You go into the spirit, the book of law. Turn there, James chapter 1. Quickly, let me just read it to you. James chapter 1. How many minutes have I got? That's right, that's good. That's enough minutes. I start from verse 21. Therefore lay aside, this is James chapter 1 from verse 21. Therefore lay aside all filthiness and overflow of wickedness, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save your souls. Receive that word, the word of faith. Receive it, accept it in your spirit. What it says, hold on to it. Verse 22, but be doers of the word, not only receiving it and not hearers only, deceiving yourself. Verse 23, for if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, it says, he is like a man observing his natural face in a mirror. Do you see it? You look at your face in the mirror. Verse 24, for he observes himself, goes away and immediately forgets what kind of man he was. But verse 25, but he who looks into the perfect law of liberty and continues in it. This is the perfect law of liberty, the Bible. And continues in it, not just one day, not on Monday, not on Tuesday, not on Sunday alone. Every day continues in it, and is not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work. This one will be blessed in what he does. So when I feel sick, I don't go by feeling. I go by what he says. He says, I am healed. I go by that, and I expect that to come to pass. Feeling comes after miracles. Amen? Amen? So, in here, in Luke 22, verse 32, it says, but I have prayed for you, that your faith should not fail. If anything else fails, just make sure your faith don't fail. Your faith must not fail. Because why? If your faith fails, you begin to doubt what God says. If your faith fails, you become discouraged. If your faith fails, you will not be able to see what God has said concerning your life. If your faith fails, you begin to walk in the flesh. You begin to walk according to your five senses. According to what I see, what I hear, what I feel, what I touch, what I taste, what I smell. According to your five senses, you begin to walk. Then you're no longer walking in the spirit. It says, First Christian Center in Watford. And this is just for people that are actually seeking a place of worship where they can be loved, they can be accepted, not for what they have, but who they are. If you're seeking a church whereby you can be taught the principles of God's kingdom, where you can pray effectively and become a disciple, and you see the results of your prayers and your worship. I want you to understand this one. Christianity is not only to believe, it's also to belong. You need to belong to a family whereby you can be taught, nurtured, and cultivated, and you can grow